In this video, we will show you how to replace your rear upper control arm on this Honda Accord. This is part of your suspension located inside of your rear wheel well. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. The first thing you want to do is safely raise and support the rear of the vehicle so the wheel's off the ground. Once you've done that, continue on to removing all 5 of your 19mm lug nuts and then the wheel. Now that we have the wheel out of the way, we have a clear view of our upper control arm. You can see that it makes its way from the rearward subframe all the way to the knuckle. Let's start in this area by removing our locking cotter pin. Take hold of that, pull it out of place. There we are. We'll give that a quick inspection, replace it as necessary. We can set this aside. With that out of the way, we'll continue on to our 17mm nut. Let's separate the upper control arm from the steering knuckle. To do this, you could use a pickle fork. Carefully make your way inside this joint to break it free. Now we can follow that upper control arm to where it connects onto the subframe. You'll find that you have a 14mm headed bolt hidden inside of this area. To have a better chance of gaining access to this, we'll make our way to the bracket that holds the flex hose to the body of the vehicle. Remove these two 12mm headed bolts and then slide the bracket out of the way. Let's also move the ABS wire bracket out of the way. You'll find that you have one 10mm headed bolt along the backside to remove. Now we can make our way into this area with our 14mm to start removing this bolt. Before we loosen this, take note of the angle of your upper control arm. You'll find that it's not in the rested downward position. It's essentially straight across. It's important to note, so when we install the brand new one, we want to have it in this same position. Remove your upper control arm. There it is, friend. Let's prepare our brand new upper control arm for installation. What I mean by that is you have to take a look at it in comparison to your original. You'll find that the new control arm is adjustable, so you want to try to make it the same length as the original. Once you have this installed, you'd be bringing it to the alignment professional and they'll continue on by making the proper adjustment as needed. To adjust this, you can just grab onto the center here and turn the center cog. You'll find by turning it one way, it brings it out. Turn it the other way, it'll bring it in. Adjust it as needed. Let's get this as close as possible. Not too far. Once you feel as though you have it in the proper positioning, continue on with your 2 jam nuts. You want to bring these in so they're right up against this area and then lock them in using 2 wrenches. But before we lock it in the proper position, let's get it in the vehicle. We'll slide this into position on the subframe. Starting your 14mm headed bolt, The next thing we'll do is bottom this out. We'll bring it into the proper position, snug it up, and torque it to the proper manufacturer specification. We'll bring this up so it's level with the ground. Now we'll torque this to 43 foot-pounds. Let's make our way to the other side of the arm. We'll take this and bring it right down into that knuckle. Start the nut on there. If you have a hard time pulling it down, you can use some leverage with a pry bar. Make our way along the top of that arm. Just bring this right down in it. Snug that nut and torque it to 35 foot-pounds. Now that we have that torqued, the next thing you want to pay attention to is the slots on the mounting nut in comparison to the hole that makes its way through the stud. We need to put a cotter pin through there. If it doesn't look like it's lined up, continue on tightening that nut until the very next slot is lined up. Slide that right through there. Once you have the cotter pin slid through, it's important to make sure that you peen it over so there's no way this nut can loosen up on you while you're driving down the road. Let's continue on to snugging each one of our 2 jam nuts. To do that, hold the adjustment point in the center with a 1-inch wrench. The jam nuts themselves are a 1 16. Turn the jam nuts clockwise to lock them in. Let's move along to resecuring our ABS wire bracket. That will go in place right on top of the subframe here. Once you have it properly aligned, continue on with your 10mm headed bolt. Start it in, snug it up. Now it's time to move ahead to the brake line bracket. Let's get this aligned and start in both of our 12mm headed mounting bolts. Once they're started, snug them up. We'll continue on by reinstalling our wheel. Start on all 5 of your 19mm lug nuts, bottom them out. We'll get the wheel back on the ground, and then we can torque them to 80 foot-pounds. With the wheel safely on the ground, torque these lug nuts in a crisscross manner. Torqued. Okay friend, we've got our control arm installed in the vehicle. At this point, you want to take it for a road test, listen for funny noises, and get yourself safely down to your local alignment shop. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.